People often get into things like dream reading because they are searching for something that will fill their life with the magic of meaning again. Because it feels like there's something wrong with normal life. It's mundane, repetitive. And when you sit down and contemplate why you are doing what you do, you see that there is no bigger purpose or picture or place. You see the universe as this vast empty chasm, and you as a meaningless speck of dust. And so something in you is craving for an adventure, a purpose. Something for you to aim at that is valuable enough to justify your suffering. Because nothing hurts more than realizing that all your pain and all your struggle was pointless. And if you suffer from this problem and you get into dream reading, they may bring you to an archetypal location which holds a solution. The sacred mountain. And in the Discord, I've noticed a few boyos coming into contact with this archetype. The pattern usually goes like this. They are pondering about the chasm of the black abyss for a long time. Then during a dream they find themselves at the foot of a mountain and they ascend it, with this feeling of epicness. And when they reach the top, they are confronted with something of ultimate value. And just for a moment they have a fleeting peak experience where they are in the presence of something God level, something of prime meaning. And this archetype is everywhere in mythology. Think of Moses climbing up Mount Sinai, meeting God, and getting the gift of the 10 Commandments for the Hebrews. Or Jesus Christ, who struggled up Golgotha with the cross on his back, so he could be crucified at the summit and conquer evil forever. An act of so much value that the cross became the symbol for the next 2,000 years. And even in my own version of this dream, I was climbing up a mountain, and beneath me was all the animals disordered, running around in the plains below. And when I reached the summit of the mountain, I looked down, and they had all formed into perfect order, and were walking around as a circle. And at the very summit, there was an orb of glowing light. And it is no accident that in Greek mythology, the sacred mountain of Olympus is the home of the gods. The same with Asgard from Norse mythology. And we see that this consistent positioning of the ideal prime values, the gods at the top of the mountain, is the symbolic representation of an extremely important notion. The notion of the hierarchy of ideals. You have probably heard of the term a pyramid scheme before. A small group of people at the top control an absolutely huge amount of people by using tiers of authority. These pyramids of authority are by nature the most useful way to organize large amounts of people. A modern army with millions of participants, several different factions, and a myriad of operations can be successfully managed by a small group of generals through strict obedience to the hierarchy of authority. This is why you see obedience being so emphasized within armies. A soldier's willingness to give up his own individual will is an essential part of winning any war. Sacrifice towards the hierarchy and the value on top of it is an essential part of successful societies. And so it is incredibly important that we get the correct value at the top of society. Then we need high quality leaders who obey that value, and a populace who respects the orders of the leaders. Only then can we stabilize the hierarchy and guarantee a shared success. And so we hold the symbol of this hierarchy in deep reverence. The pyramid in Egypt is a great example of this. A physical representation of the system that keeps society running, where the pharaoh would be brought in to an initiation ritual, indicating that he had become the embodiment of the ideals that hold the a system together. And it is also clear that the pyramid itself is a representation of an arrow pointing up towards the prime ideal. You see something like the all-seeing eye, which sits on top of the pyramid on the American dollar, a representation of the deification of consciousness, enlightenment, and awareness. And so this mysterious shape, the pyramid, the mountain, is an archetype which leads us to the greatest question of all. What do we place on top? What is the most important thing? Is it the symbol of Christ, the celebration of a man willing to sacrifice himself for the good? Or is it the Marxist notion of equality? Or is it the brutal Nietzschean notion of excellence, über alles?